Here where I live in zone 5B, the tuberous begonias will die once there is a hard freeze. Many people buy them just for 1 year and then throw them away. Personally, I think that's a waste of money. And why not try to overwinter them and propagate them so you can have more and more bulbs over time? One way that you can overwinter them is just to keep them in their pot. I like to dig out the tuber and store it that way. It takes up a lot less space. In the early fall, you want to stop watering your tuberous begonias. You want them to basically dry out a little bit, and you definitely want to stop giving them fertilizer. The goal is you want those tubers to go dormant. At the end of the season, what ends up happening to your tuberous begonias is they basically start losing all of the flowers, the foliage, and they no longer are nice, lush, and green. They start to turn more of a yellow color. That's a good sign. That indicates that the plant is ready to be stored. A lot of times the leaves just naturally fall off. You do not want to just pull off all the foliage. You want it to fall off naturally when it's ready. Take the tuberous begonias out of their container or pot or out of the landscape. Carefully take off all the soil from around the tubers. There's also a ton of soil still on the tuber. What I like to do is just place the tuber with the soil, and if there are any leaves attached, onto a tray kind of like this where there's holes in the bottom. If you notice any rot, you do not want to store those. You want to make sure you discard those. If you have one that's rotten, it can spread the rot to the other tubers, and that's not good. I'm going to give it about a week, maybe two, depends on how long, for these to get fully dry, for all the leaves to fall off. And then I'm going to take off all the excess dirt. I'm going to remove any dead foliage. And then what I'm going to do is the same exact thing which I did last year. I stored these in a cardboard box, but you can also store them in a paper bag or a mesh bag. You want to make sure that they're in a cool, dark location. And last year I stored these in my garage. My garage does not fall below freezing, but it generally stays between 40 and 50 degrees Fahrenheit. And then I check on them about once a month. And if they feel like they're getting a little too dry, I give them a spritz of water. But you don't want them to get soggy or too wet. You just want them to not fully dry out either. And then in the late winter, early spring, when I went out and checked on these, I noticed that they were starting to sprout. That's when I started potting them up. Generally, I like to pot them up into a small container that's about the size of the tuber and just get them sprouted so that they start growing. And then after that, after the danger of frost, I can then put them out in my landscape or in a nicer, prettier pot.